give me your thoughts on the weekend. What was your takeaway from that? I'm just curious as to, because I have a particular take on this that I'll get to in a minute. But what is your takeaway from the weekend?
Takeaway from the weekend is that I came away impressed. I got to give it to them, because when I look at the Nationals and I look at the Rockies, that's not real to me. That was really the genesis of their 10-game winning streak. Okay, what does that really tell you? Not that much. You take on the Dodgers at home. It's a real team. I know the Dodgers haven't been running away with the NL West like everybody expects them to. They got an all-star lineup. They've had some injuries. Mookie missed a game, came back in. So I know it's not the same Dodgers, but that's a real team, Mazz. And it's not just they beat them in the series. It's that I was able to see the Red Sox win some close games when they had to make some real baseball decisions. They had to pitch effectively. They had to come up with timely hits, things that I usually don't give this team credit for. Because I think they are a talented team. I think they're a really stupid team. Still, I think they're a dumb team.
They are a dumb team.
And if they don't get to where they want to go, it's not going to be the talent. It's going to be their collective brain drain. It's going to be the stupid things they do, running the bases, catcher's interference. I mean, think about all the ways they've lost games this year. So, but that aside, I'm going to give them credit for coming away with a series win against a very good team.
Murray?
Good series win for them, especially that they were playing de facto road games in their own building. I mean, this was a Dodgers home series. If you happen to tune in for a few minutes, you could just hear it. Like, oh, there's more Dodger fans here in terms of the vocal aspect of it. They were louder than the Red Sox fans, and it sounded like yesterday there was like 50% full of Dodgers fans.
I mean, Friday night, right out of the gate, was striking.
Yeah,
you couldn't miss it. It was so obvious that the Dodgers were getting more cheers than the Red Sox, and we'll get to more of that in a second.
But post All-Star break, I can understand wanting more. The series in Philadelphia I thought was gross. I liked that final game in Chicago, but they lost that series against the Cubs too. But going into the All-Star break, the talk was, this is the toughest schedule in Major League Baseball coming out of it. You went 4-5 against playoff teams. The Cubs are a playoff team. Philly's going to be a playoff team. Dodgers haven't been great, but they're going to be a playoff team. Reigning World Series champion. And right now, they're in the second wild card. So I can get wanting more. I know Jay Stu's one of those people. But considering where they were, especially coming out of Philadelphia, look, they're in it, and they should invest in this team come Thursday. I think that's
no question. No question. They have to. They have to invest in the team. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they invest in it?
Because they're cheap.
Well, they're cheap.
And obsessed with their model.
But kind of obsessed with their model. But then you look back and you say, who's the best starter in the American League right now? I would say it's Garrett Crochet, and they went away from their model. Not only did they trade prime minor league talent for Garrett Crochet, then they signed him. They signed him to a big deal, and he's actually pitched, and he's already hit a career high, or approaching a career high in innings pitched. So they've shown that they can go away from their model. Do it again.
Okay, so I was just going to read you the headline from Peter Abraham in the Globe. Okay, he wrote it on baseball column, and the headline is this: with their recent play, Red Sox have proved they are worthy of acquiring reinforcements. True or false?
True. 100% true.
Okay, I feel that way too.
Yeah.
I'm just, and here's what I would tell you: that the 4-5, if you were to ask me, is 4-5 against this competition good? Here's what I would tell you, and I'm totally half-assing it. Not bad. Not great. Not bad. It could have been worse. So they had to scrape to get wins against the Cubs and Phillies. Against the Dodgers, they played better. And I'll tell you what I did like about this weekend. Like you mentioned, they played low-scoring games, Michael. It was a very similar series in that way to Tampa Bay. So the last two home series have been some pretty entertaining baseball over at Fenway Park. Even the Tampa series, which, again, the Dodgers get the star power and the firepower that Tampa Bay doesn't have. But the baseball was pretty good. And the games were entertaining, and there were some big plays made. I thought one of the biggest plays of the weekend was Jarren Duran's triple on Saturday, because they were down early, and to get right back in that game quickly, to me, really changed the flow of the weekend. I thought they were on their way to another loss. And then all of a sudden that happened. And okay, here you go. Now you're in the game. You get a sac fly. Now you're ahead 3-2. Now you have a chance to win, and here you go. So I thought all the momentum kind of changed at that particular point. But when I say not bad, here's the ultimate summation. I asked Thomas, our intern, to do some of this research because I was in the car on Saturday when they fell behind. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. Every time here since out of the All-Star break, every game they're falling behind in the first inning. 7 out of 9 games they have allowed runs in the first inning. Right out of the gate. They're behind constantly.
7 of the last 9.
7 of the 9 since the break.
Wow.
Okay. All the 9 against the 3 good teams.
Okay.
The Cubs, the Phillies, and the Dodgers. Behind every single time. And when it happened again on Saturday, I said, this is getting ridiculous. They can't beat any of these teams because they're always chasing. And for Crochet to come out and give up runs early, big mistake. So Thomas did the research. Since the All-Star break, they've been outscored 12-2 in the first inning. They've been outscored 21-8 in the first 3 innings. In the 84 innings that they've played, they've led for just 25.5 of those. They've been behind twice as long. It's 47.5 as they've been ahead. Okay, so again, you're chasing constantly. And those 25.5 innings that they've been ahead, 14 of them came Saturday and Sunday. So, in other words, I'm telling you, I asked for this data when I was in the car on Saturday. They were behind 2-0. From that point forward, they took the lead and basically didn't trail.
So, based on those numbers, even though we all said true to Peter Abraham's comment that they've earned the right to, to have management step up and add to the team, no, they haven't really earned it. They need it. Because when you trail, what was that? 80.
It's a good way to put it.
So look, if you've played 84 innings since the All-Star break, and you've led for 30% of those innings,
correct?
Well, that tells you you're not good enough.
Correct.
So you need the help. Now I didn't think they needed another bat, but this tells you they could probably use another bat.
Yeah,
too.
so definitely. And look, I heard them say this on Zolak and Bertrand today. I don't remember who said it, whether it was Beadle or McCone. One of them said, well, look, this is who they are. They're not quite good enough to beat the good teams, and they're a wild card. They're the third wild card. So this is sort of a representation of who they are. And I think that there was some truth to that. They are the perfect team to add to.
Yeah.
So if the Red Sox don't add at this deadline, what team would ever add? Think about it. They're in, okay, but they're kind of on the cusp. And they're young, which means they should get better, not worse. So if you have a young team that's on the cusp and getting better, why wouldn't you add? This is exactly the kind of team you should add for.
Let me answer that question. Why wouldn't you add? If you're the Red Sox, why wouldn't you add? Because you go in and you're thinking from top to bottom, because I've heard this, some version of this from Sam Kennedy. I've heard this from Craig Breslow. I've heard this, some version of it from Alex Cora, that they made some moves in the offseason that to go for it. We're a playoff team. We're a playoff team, and we did a great job. We brought in an all-star closer and Chapman. We brought in Alex Bregman, who's a great player. We ponied up for Garrett Crochet. In other words, if you think you got what it takes right now, and that this team just needs to come together, they need to gel and whatever, you wouldn't do it. Now, I don't buy that, but I could see them saying, hey, we got everything we need right now. What else do you want? We made another trade. We got rid of that bum, Rafael Devers, for a clubhouse sanity. And we've got Alex Bregman. We missed Bregman for a month and a half. He came in, and look at him, hitting a home run over the weekend to secure a game. And you do that old, Tony, since you covered this guy, you know this. You go to that old Dan Duquette line. Better than any acquisition we could make.
Oh, God, please. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Marcelo Mayer, coming back from injury or something like that. This guy coming off the injury list, or this guy starting to figure it out, is better than anybody we can acquire at the deadline.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Listen again. If you were to drop the perfect team to add to at the deadline, to me, this is pretty much it. And when I say the perfect team to add to, I understand I'm not talking about a championship caliber threat or, you want
DNA-wise.
Yeah.
Just this is the profile.
Right. And where it's trending, where it's going. And this is part of the reason I want them to go out and make a legitimate trade for a starting pitcher who can help them not only this year, but in the future. So Joe Ryan's easy because we all like him. Okay, he's a good pitcher. He's got 2 years left. He fits in behind Crochet. He's right-handed to go with the left-hander. All the above. So if you get Joe Ryan, you now have two pitchers basically 29 and younger, one right-handed, one left-handed, all these young guys who are just starting to grow into their ability, and you can legitimately say we're in position to challenge here for the next 2 or 3 years. Or if you take it in 2 or 3 year blocks, maybe longer, because of Anthony and Meyer and Rafaela and Wilyer Abreu. You go right up and down the line.
You haven't mentioned Duran, so you're okay with giving up Duran for Ryan.
I am.
I am too.
I am. So to me, if they don't add to this team, well, then they're never going to make a substantive trade at any deadline. Now, look, at the time, you want to go back to 2018, could you say that team had championship aspirations? And they did. What they added was what they thought were role players. And they were good ones. Steve Pearce ended up being
unbelievable,
excellent,
right?
But he was a specialist, right? He was a twice-a-week kind of guy.
And play for everybody, and they play for everybody in the division, right?
Yes.
Pretty much an AL East Stevie Pearce.
And none of us knew what Evaldi was going to be, and he turned into something bigger than anyone could have imagined. But at the time, it was a depth piece, and he ended up being more than that, which is fine. So that type of team, you're adding smaller pieces. This is the kind of team where you should make a big trade.
And the reason, that kind of team, you add smaller pieces, but think about what their record was, too. Like, we knew, maybe people weren't buying into it, but at the trade deadline in 2018, this is one of the great Red Sox teams of all time. That's not an exaggeration. 2018, look at everything that they did from start to finish. Amazing, including Mookie Betts MVP. They had it. First year for Alex Cora, everything was going right for them. So it made sense that they would look at these pieces as, hey, he's a role player.
Right.
We look at this team now. They're not the best team in their division. They're clinging to a wild card spot. Like this time next week, will they still be in the wild card and playoff position? I don't know.
They need the help.
Yeah, they need something. They need something big.
They need the help. And to that point, Michael, maybe this is the better way to say it. The 2018 team may very well have won the World Series without a trade. They might have won without those two guys. Pierce was the MVP of the World Series, but they dominated the World Series. They dominated the postseason. They dominated the whole year before that. Now, would it have taken a couple of more games? Maybe, but they were good. They were clearly the best team in baseball that year. This team needs the help. They need it. If they're going to play the Dodgers and they're going to play the Phillies, and I mean teams like them, or even the Tigers, and I know the Tigers have been struggling, but the Tigers are a good team. They need the help. If they're going to get to that next level, they need the help.
Why don't they play smarter?
Okay, so a good question. I think some of it is a bigger than them problem. I think it's a problem throughout Major League Baseball.